What's up? What's up, my people? Wanted to share something with you guys. I know I'm always like talking about my daughters with you guys. I have an 18-year-old daughter that's in her first year of college. And I also have a 13-year-old daughter who's in 8th grade. What I've never told you guys is that I did give birth to a son before my daughters. And I haven't spoken to him. I kicked him out of my house when he was like, I'd say 17, just graduating from high school. I don't know how old he is today. I know he's an adult today, but I don't know how old he is. I haven't spoken to him ever since. I think a few years after I kicked him out, he came back to my place. I locked my doors, and he started kicking my car, which was parked in front of my house. So I called the police. But other than that, I haven't had any interactions. I haven't seen him, anything like that. Here's what happened. This is hindsight. I'm going to tell you hindsight. But at the time that I was in the midst of these happenings, I didn't realize, or maybe I was in denial about what was happening. But, okay. He in elementary, he used to get teased a lot, called gay and stuff like that. Okay. It never clicked in, I guess, to me that something's going on. So I took him out of one school, put him in another. He used to get beat up by little boys way smaller than him, which would piss me the F off because I'm like, you know, he was a big guy, you know, so I was like, what is wrong with you? You can't beat these little boys, you know. And still, it never clicked in with me. So when he got in high school, I started noticing different things, but, you know, and I would sit down and I would talk to him. I would be like, are you gay? And he would be like, no, I'm not gay. I'm not gay. Now, mind you, this boy is like about, let's see, 6'1", 6'2". Okay, so, no, I'm not gay, but okay. So then I would get phone calls from different kids that he hang out with, and they would be like, well, Josh was doing this at the well, I'm sorry, I said his name. They would say, well, your son was doing this at the football game, and we thought it was strange. And so I would go and ask him, and he would be like, that's not true, that's not true. And I would be like, okay. So then other little incidents, little flags kept popping up. We used to live like probably like a half a mile from the high school. Someone told me they saw him walking to the high school and he was switching. And I was like, what? And so I didn't bring anything up about that. So then all of a sudden he got this fucked up buzz haircut with like a mohawk on top of his head and the sides like no sides were bald. And I thought it was the weirdest fucking haircut. I was like, okay, maybe it's just a teenage thing, you know. So I let him go stay with his aunt, who stayed an hour away. And I felt like we were not as close. So I changed my mind on it and I went to pick him up. When I went to pick him up and bring him back home, he started crying. He started throwing up, just going off, you know. And I thought, that's the weirdest reaction. You know, I let you go stay with your aunt, and then I told you I changed my mind and come pick you up, and you're going to throw up like you don't want to be with me, like as if I'm doing something to you. So when I got him home, he started acting out in all kinds of ways. And I was like, what the hell is wrong with you? So I took him to see a psychiatrist. Bad idea. I shouldn't have did that. Y'all know psychiatrists are crazy, right? So the psychiatrist, the first one I wouldn't take him back to because they're crazy. Then I took him to sort of like a counselor type person that he could sit down and talk to. And being as he was a minor, she was able to share what they talked about. And after a month or so of counseling, she came to me, his counselor, and she asked me, "Is your son gay?" And I was like, "Well, no." He told me he's not. And she was like, "Well, I think he is." And I was like, "What?" So, on my way home with my son in the car, I asked him again. I said, "Are you gay?" And he was like, "No, Mom, I am not gay." And I was like, "Well, your counselor told me you are." And he was like, "Well, she told a lie. I am not gay." So I was like, okay, you know? So, of course, he kept acting up and shit. When he turned 16, he wanted to get his, I would not sign for him to get his license because he was showing off. So, I was at my parents' house and I was walking through the hall and he was there and he was walking through the hall. He was mad at me because I wouldn't sign for him to get his license. So he sort of like bumped his shoulder into me. And when he did that, I whipped his ass. I balled my fists up and I went blow for blow. I tore his damn head up. So what he did was he hopped on his bike and rode to the police station and you know, reported me to the police. So I got in my car and I rode to the police station. And they told me, the police, that they couldn't find any marks on him. They say they searched him, you know, with the flashlight and stuff. They said we couldn't find any marks on him. So therefore you can go. And I was like, okay. So I left. And the reason they couldn't find any marks on him is because when I whipped his ass, I punched him in his head. And he had an afro like this. So, you know, I punched him in his head when I was hitting him. And that's the only thing that saved me, is that I hit him in the head and not on the ass or the back. He's too big for that. I told you he's like about 6'1" or 6'2". So I had to fight him like a man. I'm only 5'8". Okay? And I hated to do it because I was at my father's house and my father was ill. But he just rubbed me the wrong way. You know, you don't bump into me or shoulder bump me. You don't do that. So, okay, being as I'm his mother, I had to push that to the side, right? So, I guess I say a couple weeks later, I took him over to the Division of Motor Vehicles and I signed for him to get his license. That was a bad move because he never stopped showing off. After that, he ended up calling my family members, telling lies, just making up shit, saying that I lock him in his room, I abuse him, and all this kind of stuff. Which was a lie. But then my sister that was living up the road, who I had him to go stay with, she was trying to turn him against me. She bought him like a cell phone and shit for Christmas without my permission. And she would call him while he's in his bedroom and talk shit, you know. So what I did was I picked up the phone and then I called the police. I asked them what could I do about this. My sister bought him a phone. They was like, well, it's her property, so you can't do anything. And I said, fuck the police. So I got that cell phone from my son and I took and threw it in the dumpster. I tore it up, stepped on it, and threw it in the dumpster. And so I took him counseling somewhere else, and he ended up lying to them, telling them that I was abusing him, which was fucked up. And I'm trying to help this boy, and he's trying to get me locked up. So, what is it? The people that come and check your house to see if you're abusing they sent people to my house to check my house to see if I was abusing this boy. And no, I wasn't. But unfortunately, once you get accused of that, it goes in your records. So that has been preventing me from getting bigger jobs that I'm qualified for. He was doing a lot of crazy shit to me. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with this boy? You know, I didn't know what to do. So, okay, he graduates, right? And I bought him a car. He took the car and just never came back home. So what I did is I repossessed the car that I bought and took it back to where I bought it from. Yeah, I did. And so okay, he ends up, I moved to another town, and okay, he's my son, so he was with me, right? So what he did is I have a gay niece, okay, that I don't deal with because I don't approve of that type of behavior. He comes in the house and tells me he's going to go to Washington, D.C. with this girl. And I said, why are you going there? And with her, I was like, a lot of gay guys hang out in Washington, D.C. That's like the second gay capital. And I said, I grew up with a boy who used to always say he going to hang out in D.C. and come to find out he was gay. That's what I told my son. He said, well, I'm not gay. So I told him I don't want him to go there. So he started now he's 17 at this time. He started acting up, disrespecting me and all that kind of stuff. Because I guess he didn't want to be in my house, you know. Instead of saying, I don't want to live here, I'm leaving. He just started being totally disrespectful and shit. And I ended up beating his ass again. I jumped on his back and started going for what I knew, you know. And when I got done whipping his ass, I said, you know what? You don't want to be here, get the F out. I said, you can't live by my rules and you're not going to disrespect me, get the F out. So he started packing his clothes because I guess that's what he wanted. But he was packing his clothes slowly. So I said, you're not moving fast enough. So I took him, went upstairs, grabbed all his clothes and I didn't back him up. I just grabbed him and I opened my door and I threw him out the door on the ground. He asked me, could he use my phone to call his gay cousin? And I said, hell no. So next thing I know, his gay cousin pulled up out in the front. And he got in the car with the gay girl and he left. Okay. I'm going to speed up the story because I'm running out of time. But come to find out, years later, I find out on the internet is that this motherfucker thinks he's a girl. He dressed up like a girl, makeup, titties, and ass and stuff, like these transvestites or whatever these people, whatever they call themselves. That's what he is. He's one of those type of people. And I have said, when I kicked him out of my house, I said, to me, you know, he's dead. D-E-A-D. Dead. The son that I gave birth to is dead. Dead. And I will not ever have a relationship with no fucking faggot, because that's what that is. He's a faggot and he's dressed up in women's clothes, and I don't approve of that. So I don't know how old he is today. I'm sure he's a grown man, woman, or whatever he calls himself. But I don't know what he is, where he's at, and I don't care. Because to me, I have 2 children and they are 2 girls. I didn't give birth to 3 girls. I gave birth to 1 girl. I didn't give birth to 3 women. I gave birth to 2 girls, okay? So that's why when I see parents online going through that bullshit, I just say handle it the way you feel. Yeah, and only you know what you can deal with. Anyway, that's my story for today, guys. Yep. I love you guys. Have a good day.